Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
Never before in history has a high-rise, steel-frame, fireproof building come down. And there's hundreds of examples, by the way.
In 2005, a 32-story building in Madrid burned for a whole day. There was a partial collapse, but the building remained standing.
I've recently seen a video of a much smaller steel-structured building where the facade does fall due to fire, but then when it's gone, oh, the structure is still right there.
When collapses do occur, buildings tend to fall over. They fall asymmetrically. It's a natural process. They don't fall straight down through the path of greatest resistance.
I never believed 9/11 because I had engineering training at Georgia Tech, and I could tell when a building is being blown up by explosives. Any fool can look at those films and see that the buildings aren't falling down, they're blowing up.
I know, and so we're in the twilight zone, Doctor.
As long as the top section of the building is in uniform downward acceleration, it is exerting less force on the lower, stronger, undamaged structure than it would if it were simply sitting motionless. This may seem counterintuitive to you. You might think the falling block coming down on the lower section of the building would exert a greater force than a stationary block. That is true only if the falling block actually impacts the lower block, which would cause the falling block to decelerate.
Where is the 15-story building that was driving this building down to the ground at free fall speed? There's nothing crushing the building. It's tearing itself apart.
When we see chunks that race ahead of the rest of the falling debris, we can reasonably interpret this as caused by explosive impulses.
Steel beams were thrown laterally, up to 500 feet.
Girders from the North Tower, weighing about 4 tons each, were found in the Winter Garden after the towers collapsed.
For the third time today, reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
If masonry, heavy enough to damage Building 7, was propelled from the Twin Towers, where did the energy come from to do this?
Thermite reactions produce aluminum oxide, which is visible as white smoke. We have not only chemically detected nanothermite in the World Trade Center dust, we are literally seeing nanothermite in action.
You know, I haven't seen a controlled demolition for a while, but I bet they're using the new method that only takes 6 hours. Just light a few strategically placed fires under the steel beams, and the building miraculously comes down into its footprint in 6.2 seconds. Why spend weeks putting explosives all over the building, making calculations, getting the triggers right, doing this, doing that? Why spend weeks when you could just spend a few hours lighting a couple of fires, and you can bring down a 47-story building in 6 seconds?